Hey everyone, so here we are, second video for Camus, and we'll just get right into it. So with Camus, we'll pick up here on his notion of the absurdity of existence and how he thinks that living a life worth living is living without illusion, and that means facing the absurdity of your existence and living in such a way that maximizes that condition, that exhausts the absurdity of your existence. So what is this thing, the absurd, right? What is this? What does he mean by this? So I just want to point out here that this next slide I worked very hard on. So I just want you to pause and appreciate the hard work I put into this next one. See, there it is. Took me all night to hang those curtains. So the absurd, here's how Camus talks about it. The divorce between man and his life, the actor and his setting, is properly the feeling of absurdity. The feeling of absurdity. And I want to spend a little bit of time here trying to conjure that feeling a bit for us. Now, typically in the past, when I teach Camus in this section, I ask students to do a thought experiment. I ask them to close their eyes and to think about some of the things that they hold precious in this world. Things that are so familiar to them. Things that you love and can't be without. And so you might do that now. You might close your eyes and start to really think about the friends and the family and the activities and the places that you absolutely love and identify with most. And feel yourself to be yourself when you're in those places and when you're with those people and when you're doing those things. And I want you to hold that in your mind. And I want you to take a second with it and feel that. And I want you to, with your eyes closed, think of those things slowly receding from you, getting farther and farther away from you, whether it's your friends, your family, the surroundings you're so used to that you feel natural in. I want those things to become further and further away from you. So much so that you hold out your hand to those things and you can't even reach them anymore. And they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller until finally you can't even recognize them. And there you are, at such an immense distance between what you hold so dear in this life and identify with and feel yourself to be, and what you are now. That estrangement is a feeling of the absurd. And it's something that, again, I ask students to do as a thought experiment, but really, I think now, it's something of a reality for many of us, right? There's so many things about our day-to-day lives, things we took for granted, but things we certainly loved and enjoyed, that feel so removed. And we ask ourselves, how do we still fit in to those things? And do we fit into those things? And will we ever fit into those things again? How will we go back to a way of living that we once felt so natural to be? Can we go back? And for some of us, we can. And again, my heart goes out to many of you who, this might be your last semester at JMU, and and I'm sure you pictured it very differently, and you pictured those goodbyes and how that would play out for the next few weeks a good deal differently than it is. And now that's been kind of ripped away from you. And so there is this disconnect between what you know, what you love, how you thought things would be for you, and what is. That is the feeling of the absurd, not being able to bridge yourself with the things of the world. And he says it's like an actor who is just stripped of the setting, right, that is around him. You know, you're just on stage by yourself, and that familiar table and that familiar room that you knew how to move around in and be in and own is gone. You don't have a script anymore. You don't have the lines, you know, that you've uttered before. You're not sure what to even say. You're not sure what any of this means, these scenes that you're playing out now. You're not even sure what things did mean. Now that you're here, what did all that mean before, right? So this estrangement from the roles we play in our lives, those roles themselves looking distant now. We have to kind of maybe take up new roles, but we're not even sure what those would be. That is the feeling of the absurd. And there are certain instances, we'll talk about later, there are certain instances in our life that really Camus points to that this really becomes felt for us. And we could say, of course, right now, in this present moment where we are globally, people are feeling this a lot. So what goes into the absurdity of your existence? What actually makes it feel absurd at times? Camus says that we have this desperate need. It's a rational need, but it's a desperate need for understanding. But when we call out for understanding in this world, there's a silence to it. That the world doesn't answer back with any understanding for us. That the world itself, the stars, the natural world, doesn't come with answers. And so when we look for meaning out there in the world, all we get is the silence of the world. And it's irrational in the sense that, and maybe I should say non-rational, because it's not offering us any reasons or any logic to this. Why do we go through the things we go through? Why do we do the things we do? What is our purpose? What is our meaning? That the world at every step will resist our attempts to find those things, no matter how long we search for them. So really what you have are these two elements to the absurdity of our existence. You have our rational demand or call for understanding. We seek understanding in this world, but the world doesn't provide that understanding to us. That's what makes up the absurd. It's those two elements together, and that's important to note. So as much as we search and look around, there's nothing written into the cosmos, written into the days of our lives, which would tell us what things mean and what things are worth. So we can search and search and search. We won't find those answers. Now, Camus, and let me emphasize, realizes, he points out, and this is very important to him, that our need for explanations, our need for reasons, our need for answers is completely legitimate. That we are a logical, rational creatures. And so we will seek to find out all we can know about who we are, what our purpose is, how we fit in to the larger picture of things. This is a real need we have. And we will continue to seek these things. But the world offers very little in terms of its factual picture as to what the answers are. In fact, he says, we really only know two things. I mean, if you think about really what we know for certain in this world, there are just two knowns. We live and we die. I mean, those are the bare facts of our existence. We live and we die. And this has gone on for a very long time. It's going on now, and it will go on for a very long time. So these are the two knowns that really we have to work with. And you say, well, what about scientific knowledge, Camus? What about all the things we know, those facts that our sciences offer us, that we've learned, discovered, and then been able to apply to the world? He will agree, yes, we can surmise some things about the way this world works, how it works, the natural laws which govern physical bodies, the molecules and atoms and electrons. You know, we can drill down and cut up the world to examine it in ways and learn about the planet and learn about the physical aspects of things. He says, I realize that if through science I can seize phenomena and enumerate them, right, and also manipulate phenomena to our advantage, right, to make living maybe more comfortable in certain ways, I can do these things, but I cannot, for all of that, apprehend the world. I cannot take in the meaning of the world through these facts. So scientific knowledge, yes, it offers facts about the world, descriptions of the world, how things are, how things behave, but it does not offer the meaning of those facts, the significance that those facts have in relation to me and my existence. It doesn't tell me why things are the way they are, for what purpose, for what reason. It doesn't tell me why I am and why I exist and who I am. These facts don't give me those kinds of explanations. So scientific fact itself is indifferent to my existence, right? The laws, the natural laws, the laws of physics don't care about me individually, right? They will go on and govern things in ways regardless if I was here or not. So the facts of the world, again, whether the sun revolves around the earth or the earth revolves around the sun, right? We've got that one. It's the earth. It revolves around the sun. What does it matter to my individual existence and meaning? Is that question is still very much open and urgent for us. So what would meaning look like for Camus? If he's saying, you know, we're going to be searching for this, we're going to be looking for answers about this, explanations, we seek to know what meaning there is in the world, he gives us an idea of what meaning would be. He says, look, to understand, page 17, to understand is above all to unify. To unify. The mind's deepest desire, even in the most elaborate operations, parallels man's unconscious feeling in the face of his universe. So meaning here is this insistence upon a familiarity, an appetite for clarity. Understanding the world for a man is reducing it to the human, to again bridge ourselves to the rest of the world, to try to unify who we are, what we are, with what's out there beyond us. To bring all of that together in harmony in some way, in completion in some way, to understand how you fit into things and the purpose of you and those things. So if we were to sum up here a little bit, Camus on finding meaning would be something like to unify the being of the world with my individual being. To clearly and resolutely, right? So to have this as clear as possible to us and to be firm and resolute in the way we understand this, to see the larger order of things, the significance of myself within this larger order. That would be something like finding meaning. And that is what we're after, ultimately. How do we belong? How do we connect with the larger order of things? What significance do we have in that? So we'll talk in the next video about the various instances in which absurdity and the absurdity of our condition here is really felt, and that there are moments in our lives where it becomes particularly palpable. And again, you might point to this moment in our life for many of us where it may feel quite absurd, that estrangement between you and your normal settings, you and how you understand yourself, you and what the world resists to offer you, that relationship is in particular right now something that is intensified and heightened and that you are extra aware of. So we'll pick up with those examples next video.